the Polarized Report.
On the Polarize Report, we rate movies on a scale of 1 to 4. Our rating system is designed for the average moviegoer as well as cinephiles.
A 1 movie is a movie that is not good in our opinion, however, we can understand why other people might like it.
A 2 movie is going to be more along the lines of average, something that more people dislike than like, but somewhere in the middle.
A 3 movie is a movie that we really liked and thought was pretty good, and if it was on, we'd probably watch it again.
And a 4 movie is a movie that is great and we would highly recommend to other people because this movie is why we go to cinema.
After we're done rating the movie, we decide whether or not we think it deserves a spot in our top 13 list of movies for the year.
And if the movie is absolute garbage, it'll go in the bottom 7, which is where the bad movies go.
At the end of the year, we discuss the 20 movies that were 13 that were good and 7 that were bad, and decide really which ones made it special this year.
Check out the movies coming this week and hit that bundle.
Whether I turn out to be the hero of my own story, or whether that station will be held by anybody else, these moments must show. My boyhood days seem now like a scarcely believable fiction.
And it's ours, David, to go wherever we choose. Well, I'm not down there. Creditors make that road impossible. 2 tailors and a most unreasonable muffin man.
What do we do with him?
If I were you, I'd wash him.
Oh, donkeys! This is a donkey-free zone! Move it!
Feels like a party.
Kite time!
Kite time!
And you'll have quite the ride on the way.
Hurricane Katrina may extend from southeast Louisiana all the way into Kentucky.
What's new? We got a wife and a son now. You're gonna have to deal with it.
This type of assistance, the Ninth Ward isn't covered.
And what the hell are we?
We ain't no gangsters.
It's my only option. It's one and done for us, all right?
A perfectly good tax-paying casino was hit.
You don't recognize what you're up against.
Katrina's always been with us. Just had a bunch of different names.
You chose to die instead of giving up your colleagues. All I have for you is a word. Tenet.
Feel it.
Your job is to bring honor to the family. Do you think you can do that?
We are under attack from northern invaders.
Loyal, brave, and true.
What is your name, soldier?
Hua Jun, Commander, son of Hua Zhou.
The spirit is evident, but something holds you back.
Now, here are your hosts for this episode.
And welcome back to the Polarized Report on the week of the personal life of Tenet, Cutthroat, Mulan. Yes. Yep. That happened.
This is the
And
Polarized
here are
Report.
your hosts.
I'm Bon Bon.
I'm still Ray.
And I'm Keegan last time I checked.
Woke Butter, aka Woke Butter.
Woke Butter. I'm part of the Enlightened Dairy.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast where we rate new movies that come out in the year 2020. What a year. We rate movies on a scale of 1 to 4, 1 being bad, 2 being okay, 3 being good, and 4 being great. We like to keep the movie simple for the kind of average viewer, and then we kind of get into the nitty-gritties about these movies. Today we will be talking about 4 new movies, as Keegan attempted to say, where we'll be talking about the new Mulan movie that I spent way more money than I really should have to watch, but we did. Tenet.
You spent money.
We all spent money on that. Tenet, Cutthroat City and the Personal History of David Copperfield. Even though that has an international release date of 2019, it's still technically a 2020 movie because it will be in this year's awards. Maybe.
You think?
No, I don't. But all right. That being said, we got our current top 13 that Ray can kind of walk us through.
Going from the bottom to the top, tied for dead fucking last is Gretel and Hansel and Vivarium, which I still haven't seen. At 11, we got Bad Boys 3. At 10, Soon to Be Dead, Underwater. At 9, we have Weather Review. 8 is Project Power. 7 is Fantasy Island. 6 is New Mutants. 5 is Boot. Tied for 3 and 4 is The Hunt and Guns Akimbo. Number 2 is Birds of Prey. And number 1 is still The Gentleman.
Fantastic. All right. And before we get into the awesome top list of the movies that we think are awesome, we actually have to update the bad list. We haven't talked about the bad list in a while. So, I'm going to run through this one just because I kind of know where we're at. So, the best, worst movie we've seen is The Grudge right now.
That was like the first movie we saw, right?
It was up there. It was definitely up there.
First 5 or something like that.
Number 6 is Doolittle. Number 5 is The Lodge. Number 4 is Like a Boss. Number 3 is Rhythm Section. Number 2 is Beneath Us. And then at number 1 is The Turning. There was a tie, but we switched them because The Turning was just bad. Plus, Beneath Us was a little bit more under a niche, and it was less known. So we decided to make sure that the worst movie of the year was.
So it was Beneath the Radar.
It was Beneath the Radar. So yes, The Turning is.
It's beneath you.
Really bad.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Oh yeah, well, it's okay. You don't have to watch it.
It doesn't seem like it's a movie I want to watch.
No, it was pretty bad. So right now that is our current bottom 7. I think last time we recorded there was a potential movie.
It should be a movie on there that we don't have. I don't think we've talked about putting on there.
Oh, okay, cool. I kind of want to hear from you first because I got a movie I want to add up into that too. So
I want to put Scoob on it.
Scoob.
Wow.
Ooh, okay.
All right. You're wrong.
You're wrong. Yep. We're gonna both agree on that one. No.
I would like to know why you're wrong, but
what would you kick? You thought The Grudge was better than Scoob? Well,
I think The Grudge and Doolittle are both better than Scoob.
See, Doolittle, you might swayed me a little bit on that one because Doolittle isn't necessarily in my bottom 7, but it was voted for there. Now, one thing I gotta say, so I actually have been recently thinking about The Lodge. It popped up into my brain face a little while ago.
Are you okay?
I looked back at it and I don't think it was that bad.
I have The Lodge as my lowest one.
Oh no!
Below the Turning, it is. It goes The Lodge, then The Turning, then Rhythm Section.
Oh man! Okay, well, Rhythm Section.
I want you to give me one good reason why The Turning is better than The Lodge.
I gotta remember both of those fucking movies now.
Yes, you do.
So as I pulled out my list.
Think about it. We'll come back to it. But in like 10 minutes, I want something.
I think actually I'm gonna say that. I think single-handedly the little girl in The Turning, was enough of a bright spot in that movie that The Lodge was lacking with both of their child actors.
That's fair. So the reason I think The Lodge isn't as bad anymore is because, as you guys know, my pastime is looking up way too much about like cults and murder. So The Lodge, the chick. That, like, the girlfriend, because you know how she escaped a death cult?
Yeah.
The death cult was Heaven's Gate, so I was like, oh, totally
no.
makes sense now. And I was like, oh, I get everything. This movie makes way more sense now. So that's why the...
Yeah, but going into it, you wouldn't know that.
Exactly, you wouldn't. So that's why I was like, it's my number. It's my 8th worst movie, but it bumped it out of the bottom for me. But if you guys are okay with keeping it there, I'm totally fine keeping it there. So
yeah, I think you should definitely stay there.
All right, well, yeah, Ray definitely.
It doesn't even have to move.
The only movie that I want to add to the bottom is The Wrong Missy.
Oh.
I haven't seen it.
Because I hated that movie.
I want to add a movie that we saw today, or that we're talking about today.
Well, we're not doing that yet. So
not yet, but I think you're wrong.
About the movie we haven't talked about?
About Wrong Missy.
Yeah.
Oh, about Wrong Missy. Okay. Have you seen Wrong Missy yet?
No.
Oh, okay. You don't.
You don't have an opinion.
All right. I guess the Wrong Missy will go into a bubble at the bottom. No, it won't. Fuck it.
It's in purgatory.
It's in purgatory.
I don't think it's gonna make it to the bottom 7.
Yeah, not with you in this world.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Don't worry about it.
All right.
Hey, don't worry about it.
But I think we're caught up with that, with the bottom. So the bottom actually does not change. So
Can we go into the one on the bottom of our list that we talk about? So we can just put it right there at the bottom.
no, because we gotta talk about two tiebreakers.
Oh,
We got two tiebreakers. All right.
This movie so bad.
Okay, the first tiebreaker is actually a tiebreaker with I'm gonna go back on my choice from last episode. So Vivarium versus Gretel and Hansel. I really enjoyed Vivarium, I really did, but I think that it was the newness of it is what kind of pushed it over Gretel and Hansel for me. When I went to look back at my list, I did put it lower than Gretel and Hansel, so I was like, all right, cool, yeah, I gotta change my vote. So I do think Gretel and Hansel is better than Vivarium.
You were just excited to see
I was just excited to see Vivarium. Yeah, anything with like some Cthulhu lore, man, I'm in. So we're going to remove Vivarium from the top 13.
I'm not buying you with that.
What?
Not buying you.
Oh, that's right. And then we have another tiebreaker because our boy Ray saw Guns Akimbo.
Oh,
yeah.
Finally watched Guns Akimbo.
Yep, and you've seen The Hunt, so you officially get to break the tie. We are super excited for this.
Guns Akimbo, I will say, was better than I thought it was going to be. Because I thought this movie was going to be bad. And it still wasn't great. But it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The main chick carried the movie for me.
Nyx was great.
Oh, yeah.
Nyx's character was pretty top tier.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of her jokes were the best.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, some of her jokes were easily, like, the best parts of the movie.
Mm-hmm. When she got shot in the face by the Nerf gun, I must say, like, mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made?
That was in the trailers.
That was pretty good. But
That
yeah. Overall, I think The Hunt is still the better movie.
I agree. No, I agree now. I have to also
Well,
agree.
even like you just saying, like Nyx is the best part of that movie, and basically you have the same kind of person who's the main, protagonist in, The Hunt that's better throughout the whole movie.
I think
those two characters are very comparable.
Yeah, I think Nyx is actually the better character. Even though I think we got less of her story-wise.
Yeah.
In the movie.
Yeah.
But I think she was a more like three-dimensional character than the like protagonist essentially we got in Hunt.
Okay.
But I don't think the point of her in Hunt was supposed to be a super deep emotional character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I do agree with that. I do think Nyx was the better character, but overall, I think the Hunt also had a little bit better of a budget. But that last explosion.
The last explosion was good. Also, I don't know if we're going to tie it with Boot again, but I think Boot was also the better.
No, yeah, we're going to keep pumping it down. So, if there's the revote. So, Guns Akimbo versus Boot. We're back on that train.
Boot.
Oh, I hate both of you. All right. Guns Akimbo versus New Mutants. I'm still holding strong with Guns Akimbo on this one. This one, I have to say that New Mutants was just not quite anything different enough for me to say it was better than Guns Akimbo.
This one I actually tossed around a little bit. It definitely won't go down one more.
Okay. Because
I think it's actually about on par with Fantasy Island.
Okay.
I think for me, New Mutants was better.
Okay.
Because we got it did a better job of establishing more characters in a short time.
And it did do the establishment of characters.
Biggest problem with the movie is Daniel Radcliffe's character.
Okay.
Because he felt very two notes and he totally switched characters midway through the movie.
And the second
half
was better.
Was way better.
Yes,
if they would have had that for the whole movie, actually, it might have been a really good movie. Mm-hmm. But yeah, his initial character was not good. And I didn't like the antagonist. I thought he was lame.
Yeah, he was a classic video game antagonist.
Yeah.
So, I like that. My favorite part about Guns Akimbo is some of the banter between the bad guys. And some of the silly moments, at the final boss battle when she was fighting the dude with the hammer, and he was like, "All right, stop. Hammer time." It was just clever, and it was funny, and I did like all the little quips.
Yeah, the little quips were good. That was a good ad.
So, you're the tying vote then. What's better, New Mutants or Guns Akimbo? It is up to you. We have both said our piece. And we're both okay with either result.
I'm going to give it to Guns Akimbo.
Alright.
A little bit more.
Can you give us a why?
It's a little bit more original. I'll give you that. I do feel like there's comparable movies to it. It still made me feel like Gamer or Ready Player One or anything where it was in that kind of realm, but it wasn't exactly the same kind of like, oh, fucking, it felt like Death Race.
It felt like Death Race.
It felt like Death Race, but better. So I'll give it that.
The first Death Race.
And I feel like I've
seen,
and I feel like I've seen New Mutants along that kind of like
if
movie
New
trend.
Mutants was a little bit creepier.
I like the characters
creepier.
and I like the story and everything, but I feel like I've seen it before multiple times before.
And
so
I also,
that's
think that New Mutants' antagonist was also a little bit bland as well. The Doctor chick.
Yeah.
So I think they were kind of comparably bland.
It was like, oh my god, that's nowhere. Oh my no.
Oh no.
That's how that felt.
Megan, no, Megan, no, don't eat that, Megan. You'll get fat. Alright.
Right.
Alright, so Guns Akimbo does get moved down to fifth place. But that means there are no more ties. There are no more ties. There are no more bubbles. Our top 13 is established. That's pretty cool, even though it's already September. So, and I don't know how much more it's gonna change. I really just there's not a lot.
I feel like Gentleman's gonna hang up there.
I think Gentleman actually might take home #1
of the year. Yeah. It might. It really might.
Well, I just don't think there's anything out coming out soon that's gonna
even
unless there's something totally off the wall.
There's that Meteor movie coming out.
Dude, I'm gonna be real with you right now. I'm gonna be shocked if I don't give it a 1.
What did you? Let's go back.
We might not be friends at the end of this.
What did you give the Lodge and the Turning? Ones?
Oh yeah, those are hard ones.
Okay, hard ones. So we all agreed there hasn't been a 0 this year yet.
No, not yet.
No, I agree. There hasn't. Oh my god. Okay.
Maybe the Turning.
Yeah.
The Turning made me want gas money.
That is true. You might have given the Turning a 0. The Turning was bad. It really was. I have to disagree with you, Ray. I think the Turning was worse than the Lodge. I really do. The girl actor was great, but there's only so much polishing of a turd you could do.
I think the best redeeming quality was that was a really cool cabin in the fucking woods with the snow.
It was cool, and the one thing that really threw me off with the Lodge was that one scene where she was wandering in the snow, and she saw that church, where I was like, this is really cool, and it's adding some lore to it, and then we never heard about the church again, and I was like, was it symbolism of her cult life? I had no idea. They needed to explain that more.
That's fair.
But besides that, all right, let's get into the new movies that we saw, and we're gonna start with the movie that Keegan wants to rip apart and shred into glorious pieces of mutton from the English era, if you're catching my drift. So, Ray, pull up that hot synopsis, I guess, and we are going to be talking about the personal history of David Copperfield.
Yeah, I took a guess on which one you were talking about. One or two. It says a modern take on Charles Dickens' classic tale of a young orphan who is able to triumph over many obstacles.
I thought he was a magician. Wasn't David Copperfield originally a magician in the books?
Yeah, David Copperfield's a magician.
No, because we looked this.
No, we did look it up, and he was a magician.
He was an illusionist back then, but it was made popular by a different David Copperfield that was in the early 90s and late 80s and everything. That was actually in America. That was that coin.
So are they different people?
They're completely different fucking people. Completely different people, because this was.
So there is a real David Copperfield.
There is a David Copperfield, and that's why we so heavily are thinking about the fucking magic size, because
this movie.
I don't know about.
Maybe they hinted at some illusionary things in this movie.
He went on stage and talked about his shit life that made no sense.
No, so
borderline fucking Alzheimer's. This movie was
uncut gems for kids. I got so much anxiety from watching this movie. It was so fast. There was so much going on, and I was like, I don't
It's
know
if it was 3 hours long, it was too long, but it would have made more sense.
Yes. It was just everywhere. There was so much going on. And the worst part about it is they had great characters. I genuinely liked the acting and the characters. Tilda Swinton, phenomenal. She did great.
What was it? What was the fucking...
The old Doctor Who guy, Peter Cavalli.
Cavalli.
Yeah, he was great.
Cavalli?
I'm pretty sure it's Cavalli. Whatever. We're not good. We don't know research. Whatever. He was still great. I liked it. I even liked the main character. He was a fine actor. He did a great job at being
He does a lot of good.
David Copperfield. The movie was just hectic. Oh my god.
Oh my god, he's in 2 of the movies, right?
What?
Thinking of someone else.
No, you were definitely thinking of someone else. If you're thinking of that one dude who's in the movie yesterday, who's in another movie that we saw, it's not the same guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just because they have that same skin tone does not mean
I'm not gonna win that fight in this day and age.
Okay. So what do you have any other opinions about this hectic movie?
No, it just, you couldn't follow it. I didn't know what the fuck it was going on in the first place. I understood that he got older and he kept making shitty decisions. Seemed like a shitty fucking person throughout the whole fucking movie. And everything, kind of like, it was a mismatch. Again, if there was like 10, 20 minutes for every like sequence in his life, it would have made sense and it would have been okay. But because of the lack of that, it just felt fucking short and I couldn't fucking get it. Which, granted, it was based off of a book, and when you have it all written down, I don't know how the book was. I never read the book or anything. I thought it was a fucking magician the whole time, and no magic happened. So maybe I'm like hurting it down for that too. But it fucking hurt my brain watching it. It was like, it's like if you had a coworker that fucking had Alzheimer's and then coke, and it's just like, oh, like you don't know what's happening the whole time.
It felt like I did drugs.
Like it felt like it gripped on for a second, and then it was fucking off the walls, and then it gripped for a second, and gone. And
Yeah, I was like, ooh, I'm getting this, and we're changing. All right, okay, but highlight, and because it's in the trailer, Tilda Swinton does kick this chick off a donkey, and it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's great.
She's like, no donkeys, and she kicks.
What was his love interest that was just fucking?
Dory or whatever. Oh,
Best
that was your
thing.
girl.
Best
Oh my
fucking
gosh.
thing, 'cause she's goddamn hilarious. How oblivious.
Oh my gosh! Like, if you think Drax takes everything literally, she's like times that up by 10. Like,
I don't know, maybe like cut in half and like boiled for a little bit. Like she's.
All right. Well, what do you rate this movie?
I give it a 1.
You gave it a what? I gave it a 2. I would not want to rewatch it. It wasn't completely.
I wouldn't tell
bad.
anyone to watch this movie.
Okay, fair.
Just for watching that movie. Like,
so it's got an average score of 1.5.
Like even with its historical like significance, I would not tell people to watch this movie.
Fair. Was it better than The Grudge?
I like The Grudge, so.
Well, okay.
So no, it's not better than The Grudge.
I also like The Grudge.
So either I have
That's
to
my
agree with you and put the historical whatever McFuck of David Copperfield, or have a tie in the bottom. I don't want to fucking have a tie in the bottom. It's not worth my brain power. All right, you win this battle. The Grudge has become a movie.
It's been accepted into purgatory.
It just is.
It just is a movie. All right. Wow. Okay. Sorry, David Copperfield, but you are now a trash movie in our bottom 7. I think the rest of the world does not agree with you, because this movie was actually getting pretty good ratings. But the rest of the world also does not agree with us with New Mutants. So.
Or Fantasy Island.
Or Fantasy Island. Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, I think Fantasy Island's still the movie that has the lowest like score on our list. So screw people. All right, next movie. Let's move on that.
I sneezed. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Oh God, no.
Oh my God.
All right,
I still think it deserves to be lower on the list, but I think.
You thought it was worse than Doolittle? Nah, I might agree with you on that one.
Was the third?
The Lodge.
No. The actual
Rhythm
third.
Section.
Rhythm Section? Rhythm Section was so bad.
Yeah, Rhythm Section was bad. It was not worse than Rhythm Section. It was not worse than Like a Boss.
I think it's between Rhythm Section and Like a Boss. I think Like a Boss is better than Like a Boss had a story you could follow.
Just because it was too fast paced for you doesn't mean
it was too fast paced for a fucking rabbit.
Oh my God. We'll have to let someone else see it to fucking.
Old people like this movie because they're just like, oh my God, I know everyone. That's why. Before they lost their memories and went back into the home.
All right, I'll compromise and say Doolittle is better.
Yeah. I'll say.
I'll even compromise and say The Lodge is better because of my like realization.
Yeah.
Okay. But no, I will not compromise with Like a Boss.
I don't fight you on that. But we're at a stalemate.
Because her vagina is stanky. That's what the joke in Like a
And
Boss.
it made me.
And I wish it wasn't.
It made me.
All right. Next movie is the other movie that I think only I saw. Isn't that? I think we should have started with this movie because it was the only movie I saw, or the only one person.
City?
It was Cutthroat City. Yes.
Did they cut throats in the city?
I don't even remember if there was actually throat cutting.
It says, set after Hurricane Katrina, 4 boyhood friends, out of options, reluctantly accept an offer to pull off a dangerous heist in the heart of New Orleans.
Yeah, accurate. That's the movie. And then
tell us about this.
And then there's more heists, and then there's more heists, and then there's more heists. All right, so this movie was directed by Raz or RZA. Raz. I don't remember how to say his name.
Raj.
Yeah,
oh, RZA.
Yeah. He also directed The Man with the Iron Fist, so I was expecting it to be very stylized and very artsy and all that. And it opened up with a dope, stylized, like, comic book graphic of, like, the Hurricane Katrina and, like, this fake story of what happened during it, and it was really cool. And then it got into the real world. And these 4 main characters, I don't know if it was the acting or if it was the script, but they were really boring. They were super, like, one note, and I really just didn't
Does that make them realistic? Because most people are very boring.
I guess maybe. But it was just super, here's my biggest issue with the movie, is that the first, like, Act 1 could have been cut in half, pretty much. Act 2 and 3 was actually good. That's what made me mad about this movie. Is the beginning, I was like, I looked over, I saw our boy Josh, who's appeared on an episode before, and I was like, Josh, this movie's kind of boring. And he's like, yeah, I know, I'm kind of, like, waiting for something else to happen. And then, like, right after we said that, there was this plot twist where I was like, hey, Josh, this movie just got really interesting. And he's like, I know, I'm invested now. Like, there is a switch where the movie literally goes from boring to, oh, okay, I'm interested. And then it didn't fall flat from there. Like, it stayed decently interesting throughout the rest of the movie. I was like, why did we have to have that long of an opener of, like, just how bad their life is? Like, I get it, but oh my god, it dragged on so much. Like, we get it. You don't have money. No one has money. Which, maybe it's because we're in quarantine right now, so my feelings are a little bit different, but, like, I think it did do a good job at kind of showing a realistic look on what happens to areas after a hurricane that don't really get a lot of funding from the state government, because since it was one of his movies, it was a little political. There was a little, like, ham-fisting of the political side of it, and I did find the political side interesting, where I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that there were certain sections in New Orleans that just didn't get any money. Like, I didn't know that. And I found that very interesting. And the ending was actually surprisingly good. I really liked the ending. It really threw me for a loop, and I was like, oh my god, this movie had the balls to do that. And then it did, but it didn't, and I was like, oh my god, this movie ended decently. Gotta give a huge shout out. Ethan Hawke was in it. He was the mayor of New Orleans, and he was great. I really liked his side plot. And then there was Wesley Snipes. All right. So, a little bit of a spoiler. Wesley Snipes, because his name's in this opening of, like, the people who are in the movie. Wesley Snipes plays the main character's dad, who left him when he was young to go live in the wild because he was a conspiracy theorist, which works for Wesley Snipes. So the first scene you see Wesley Snipes in is he opens up the door and he's like, who's on my property? And you're like, oh my god. And he's doing the Wesley Snipes crazy eyes with the shotgun. He's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh my god. And I laughed. I literally laughed in theaters. I was like, oh no, Wesley, no. Like, what are you doing, buddy? But no, he was hilarious. His opening scene was really funny. But I think that my biggest issue with this movie was that all the side plots were more interesting than the main plot. And that's why I will give this movie a 2.
I agree with you. You make very compelling reasons.
Good. Well, no one else saw it, so that was just thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
So it doesn't need to be in the bubble?
It does not need to be in the bubble. No. Oh gosh, no.
Bubble.
Was it better than Gretel and Hansel? No. Not even on the same league. Was it better than Doolittle? Yes. Not even in the same league.
Great. I see you gave us a polarized report.
I did. It was a very polarized report. All right, next up, I think
you trashed it. And
so this is between you two. I think we should talk about Mulan first.
Sure.
Is that kind of, or do you guys want to talk about Tenet? I think Tenet's going to be a little bit more of a conversation. So I think we should talk about Mulan first.
Yeah, probably.
Sure.
I think Tenet was a little bit more polarizing than Mulan. So we're going to start talking about Mulan. Read that fat synopsis for us.
Oh, it's fat. Let me tell you.
Oh,
A
man.
young Chinese maiden disguises herself as a male warrior in order to save her father.
Oh, that's it. Oh,
I don't
okay.
think the second half of that's true.
No.
In order to save her father. No, it's still fight
To save her father's honor.
Yeah, to save.
Yeah, I guess.
His, like,
Well,
her
kind of,
family
because
honor?
if he would have went, he would have
Yeah,
died.
he would have died. He would have died.
Which I don't know if they really would have put him through that. They probably been like,
He probably would have been made an officer or general. Like in reality, he probably
would have been.
Yeah, because
especially because
he's
fucking
decorated.
Knew, well, he's decorated. He knew Donnie Yen's character.
Yeah.
He knew the general. He would have been fine. Like, but if that happened, we wouldn't have got a movie. So I get it. All right. Before we start,
teenager that fucking went off and did their own shit.
Yes. Before we start, I just want to quickly say, the one thing I'm gonna just lay out right now is I thought this movie was different enough from the original that we don't gotta compare them, just like Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was different enough.
Yeah.
I thought it added its own swing to it, and it wasn't trying to be a direct remake. Are we in agreement on that?
Yeah, I think it's its own.
Yeah.
Perfect. Then on that note, Ray, what do you think about this movie?
I thought this movie was very average.
Okay. Pleasantly average? 'Cause that's like not even pleasant.
I actually really didn't enjoy this movie, but I didn't hate it.
Okay.
The fighting scenes were very cool. I think my only complaint, which you might understand, is I couldn't figure out whether or not she was trying to use her single blade sword as a straight sword or just a regular single blade sword.
I couldn't either. It was switched from like. It felt like it switched from like Tai Chi to Shaolin. Like they couldn't figure out how to completely use the sword, but the sword work was all correct, just not for the sword.
Yeah,
that confused me a little bit as well.
Do you think that might have been with the Imperial's like style of like fighting brought up with her own way that she's been brought up fighting?
No, I think honestly what I think
speaking from a person that has no idea about any martial arts or any weaponry.
I think what happened in reality is they spent way too much on that sword prop and were like, well, it's wrong, let's keep it.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened because the sword at the end was an actual straight sword. So I'm pretty sure that they were just like, hey, we already made this sword, so we're not making another one.
Yeah, that's my very niche complaint.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I agree with that one.
Minus
that, the fight scenes are really cool though.
Yeah, the fight scenes are cool. I enjoyed them. They're very Chinese style.
Very wushu.
Like,
is that what it's called?
Tiger,
They're called wushu movies.
But
he hasn't seen Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. He
really
needs to. No, it's
it's a movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
I'm surprised he hasn't just shoved that down my throat.
I will next time.
Yeah.
Come on, Crouching Tiger, don't have that dragon. But that's from a sure. I think my biggest complaint about this movie is half the acting cast was not good.
Like the supporting cast?
Even like the main cast. Like, I think in reality, the best actor and actress in it was Mulan, and the main bad guy whose name I forget, who was Jason Scott Lee.
Yep.
Because Jet Li's voice was way off. Like, they filmed it in a different language and they dubbed over it.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the only one, which kept throwing me off.
Yeah.
And then, like, everyone else was just, like, not good at acting.
Yeah, except Donnie Yen. But Donnie Yen was just there.
Yeah, Donnie Yen was there to look awesome.
Yeah, he was just there to look
did.
awesome. Yeah, it was like, there was other people talking while he's just doing badass, like, moves. You're like, Donnie Yen, what are you doing in this movie?
Like 7 lines in a whole movie, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
I give it 2.
2. Keegan.
I feel like this was a good clash of, that fight style of Chinese cinema mixed with kind of like Western, at least storytelling. Like, I think they really clashed together with those two. The acting did seem fucking, dull. I think, I don't know if I can't, like, defend it in any reason. I want to say a shout out to Jimmy Wong for fucking coming in and fucking being part of a big ass fucking movie, too. Just because the scene where he'd come from, and that's really fucking cool. He's from YouTube, and he's in a big movie now. He's been in other movies, too, but this is, like, fucking Disney, so it's, like, big dick energy coming through.
That's very fair.
Fight scenes were great. Costumes were great. Setting was fucking great. I think bringing
some of the camera work was really cool. Like with the fight scenes, like how they tracking rolled.
They used rolling correctly. And not just for bullshit.
Yes,
like in Guns Akimbo.
That is correct. There were so many rolls in Guns Akimbo. No, they used the rolls correctly. They were tracking rolls like when they were doing acrobatics, and I really liked that.
So I think it was so well made, and it's not like we don't know the story either. But I think the way it's done it, and it's again, you can't compare it to the original because it's not it's not a remake of the original. It's a different, like, whole fucking story of how.
Well, it's also based on a true tale from like ancient China. Like the movie, the original animated movie was just a interpretation of something that already existed anyway.
And I feel like,
unlike Aladdin, where Aladdin is like, that was the original Aladdin. There's been Mulans forever.
Well, that's why I feel like this movie is basically to all the adults and shit that have grown up and they're like, can enjoy this now for maybe the more realistic of actually what happened, because there wasn't that frou-frou shit throughout the other bits of it.
I guess that's my niche complaint about it, is that it is a kids movie, so the lack of blood was kind of disappointing. However,
people still died.
There were people where I was like, I wonder if they're gonna show stabbing, and there was hardcore stabbing, and I was like, oh, they're dead.
It wasn't Game of Thrones level stabbing, but it was fucking.
There was no blood, but you got stabbed.
But people were dying. People were definitely dying.
I would say my biggest complaint is about that one scene where it's the greatest in animation, where it showed when Mulan in the original would go to the first city, where the first basically incursion, when they're called to arms, and they go to that first like settlement or city where it's just been demolished by Khan and his army and everything, and it was shown like with the doll in the first one. It's like, it's not just, soldiers. It was showing the brutality of their army and what they're capable of and everything, because even then, like, the armies, the Imperial Army is part of, like, traditional, like, fighting, where this guerrilla type warfare is not seen throughout. You could compare it to just like how in the Patriot, when they were fucking doing that kind of warfare, and they're starting to get ahead of the British, and that's why they're able to get so far, because of these guerrilla tactics that they were using too, where no one was left untouched.
Yeah, and I think that's where the movie faltered a little bit, because
it didn't give me it had like that 10-second scene, and I wanted more, and that's where I'm like, no, because it showed the destruction, and I think it did a good job. But I think it felt the destruction of the army and not of the people in the land around. Yeah. So it didn't feel as like personal and deep as just like, oh no, like these guys kind of sucked in back.
And I think that's where the movie was going to falter a little bit, just because the director was making it focus more on the action scene and more of the war, and I think less of the impact of the war and less of the story of the war.
Yeah.
So I think that was just a little bit of what's lost in translation. I do agree with you, but what do you rate the movie?
I give it a 3.
3, cool. I thought this movie was, I agree with Keegan in a sense. I thought it was lacking some of the heart from the original, for the storyline wise. I also agree with Ray. I think some of the side characters were very dull. One thing I gotta say though is, when did they, okay, there is a scene where they all get really badass, and it's really confusing to me, because I'm like, when did you become a badass? Like, all of them became a badass, and I was like, alright, that's a little much of the far-fetchedness. But yeah, besides that, I thought there was some cool fight scenes, and I thought, I was glad that there was a little bit of a twist at the very end on how they defeated the bad guy.
Yeah.
Where I was like, is that really how they're going to defeat him? And then it's not how, and I was like, okay, cool, alright, I'm a little happier with that. I was a little upset with that, but besides that, I thought it was alright. So, yeah. I give it a 3 as well, but was it better than Gretel and Hansel? Go, Ray.
No.
Yes.
No, I agree. So, Mulan, you will not be in our top movies of the year, mainly because you made us spend a lot of money to watch you.
This movie cost a squad
like $1,000.
Under $1,000.
Well, yeah.
About $980.
Well, then just add the price of the movie and the Disney Plus subscription. Added. Did you add the Disney Plus subscription, the extra $60?
Oh, it's $60?
Yeah, well, I do the annual Disney Plus subscription, like so $60 plus
$1,001. This movie cost us to watch.
Yeah, we bought a new TV. Don't listen to him.
I bought a new TV.
He bought a new TV.
It's great. It's a great TV.
And soundbar.
Yeah, soundbar. That soundbar fucking kicks.
Yeah, no, we felt some of the stabs.
Yeah.
Great. Sweet. And now we're talking about the final movie. The big one. The movie that was the reason movies were made, as Christopher Nolan would say.
As Dolby jerks themselves off in the
Yes,
theater,
and Dolby
especially
made
for
sure
this
we
movie.
knew.
The screen is still on.
The projector is.
Whatever.
The movie is Tenet.
Tenet.
Give us that fat synopsis, Ray.
Armed with only one word, Tenet, a fighting for survival. They need to edit that. And fighting for survival of the entire world, a protagonist journeys through the twilight world of international espionage on a mission that will unfold into something beyond real time. That's it.
Wow, that description of that movie doesn't help us at all.
No.
Okay.
Watching the movie doesn't help you at all.
That too.
So, just a quick, before we talk about our opinions about this movie, this is like the next Christopher Nolan movie. Christopher Nolan is known to make big, very cinematic movies. He made Dunkirk, he made Inception, he made those big, thought-provoking movies.
I haven't seen either of those.
You haven't seen Inception?
No!
Oh,
Every time you guys watch Inception, I'm just like, oh, I can watch Inception. You're like, oh, well, I seen it like last month, so I really don't want to see Inception again.
Have you seen The Dark Knight?
Yeah.
Okay, he did the Batman.
Yeah,
trilogy.
he did the trilogy.
Yeah, he did the trilogy with Christian Bale. Yes, he also did Interstellar.
Yep.
I haven't seen Interstellar.
All right. Well, so as far as Christopher Nolan movies go, it was very Christopher Nolan. And that's where I'm going to end that description of the movie. Let's get into some opinions about the movie. Keegan, what'd you think of this movie?
I think I liked it.
I love
Still
your face
not
right
sure
now.
about it.
All right.
Mostly because I'm definitely down
Do you need
to
to watch
it.
it
Yes.
It could be the same or not the same movie at all if you watch it backwards. Because there's a lot of inversion, that's what they call it, but it's backwards in time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fucking weird shit. And like my dumb brain couldn't keep up with it. I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of shit that went over my head. But I really want to watch it again because there's shit that happens throughout the whole movie that once you understand the kind of like basics about all of what's going on at the end, you can go back and watch the movie again and you'd be picking shit up from the start. I'd be like, oh, well, this is it. Oh, and that is that, and everything. Oh, yes. I concur. Doctor, yes. That's basically how I felt about it. But it was, it got increasingly challenging to understand what was going on, but I enjoyed the ride the whole time.
Fair. Did you like the set pieces? Did you like the action? Did you like the movie?
Oh, the action, the story made sense for the most part for how far out fucking it was. The acting was great, I think. Action scenes were fucking top, and then backwards they were top too. So they were pot.
Okay. I get the joke you're trying to make. Yep.
You had some potential there, but it kind of fell flat.
You are not boiling right now.
Nope.
You're not at a boiling point. All right. Ray. Well, sorry. What do you rate it?
Yeah, 3.
3? Ray, what do you give it? Not give it. Don't just tell me you didn't think it was good.
Straight up. On a scale of The Dark Knight Rises to The Dark Knight, it's just above Dark Knight Rises.
Okay. Then a lot of people agree with you.
Yeah, this movie was very, very confusing because they broke some of their own rules. Mainly the beginning with the objects versus the ending with the objects.
Okay.
They broke their own rules. And they did it a couple other times with, like, people. Yeah, so I think that's my biggest problem with the plot of the movie. I think the best thing this movie is going to do is prove that Robert Pattinson can act good in an action movie to get ready for Batman. But this is like a mainstream movie that a lot more people are going to see.
That's very action-y, too.
Oh, no, not all my amazing Robert Pattinson indie movies. Oh, yay. My boy came out and showed that he has talent. Okay.
Yep.
It only took him a decade from Twilight.
To get back
He's made like 18 movies.
In mainstream media?
Yeah.
haven't seen it. Actually, that's
No, not mainstream. No, he's made 18 indie movies to like get ready for mainstream. Now we're getting like he was a really ugly caterpillar in Twilight, like really ugly. His indie movies were like a really interesting cocoon. Where you're like, wow, this is so cool. Like to see the metamorphosis.
Broke in Lighthouse?
And then.
Lighthouse
Might have been actually his metamorphosis into a beautiful
because they're
butterfly,
just like, oh my god, he's not sparkly no more.
Oh no, he's dirty. He was like, how can I separate myself from having sex with vampires? Let me fuck a mermaid. Like,
I don't know, you're still fucking mythological creatures, but
that's true. But at least they're not Christian
At least he didn't sparkle.
And he didn't sparkle.
I don't sparkle. But anyway, back on.
All right, back to the movie, Tenet.
Besides it doing that, I just like. I felt as though it moved too quickly through a lot of parts as well. Like, it almost needed to be longer, and I don't even know how long the movie was. Because they changed scenes very quickly, and then they didn't stay in a lot of scenes for very long for, like, some relatively important stuff going on. I don't know. Overall, I give it a 2.
Okay. Ooh, 2.
Give it a 2. I didn't really enjoy it.
That's fair. Alright, so
what do you think of it?
I'm going, that's my turn. Okay, sure. I was a little worried about the trailer. Because I felt like the trailer gave a lot away when I first watched the trailer, because it was the big opera scene. And I was like, I thought that the opera scene was going to be like the final show.
Yeah, no.
I was like, the big
definitely
heist.
not.
And then that wasn't, and I was like, okay.
And it was like the first scene of the movie.
And I was like, okay,
and then all the other
I'm in.
scenes,
I might not know what's going on now.
I think that was a good example of what a trailer should be.
Yes, agreed. So one thing I will have to give this full, I agree with Ray. Robert Pattinson, my boy, doing great, doing work. Loved his character. He was awesome. I didn't realize that he was the one in the very beginning.
Yeah.
That kind of confused me, where I was like, oh, that's him. Okay, cool.
Yep.
That
like saved him?
That saved him, yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It made sense. So the weird thing that I have to, and this is where I'm a little bit upset with Christopher Nolan. I really like his movies, minus a few of them. However, he's always done a really good job at having original ideas.
That's true.
This was definitely like, I get that there's so many things in the world that have timeline involved and time travel and shit, but there were really
Put them all together.
It was kind of like that, but I was like, there was moments where I'm like, oh, I really liked how he did that, but I'm like, oh wait, that was in Doctor Who. Like, there were certain moments, like the idea of one person like learning about someone that's in their life, and then by the time that they depart, they no longer know them, and it's like the backwards thing where you get to know each other but backwards.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really cool plot line, and I'm like, was it a ripoff, or was it just, it's just already been done though?
Yeah, it's been done so
much. So that's where I had to look at this movie, and you bring up a very good point, and I'm glad you said that. What was ripping something off? What was original? And that's where I've been really thinking about this movie, like, a lot. And that's where I have come to the conclusion, I really like this movie, right? So fuck you. I think I do agree that I think that they didn't necessarily break their rules in time travel. They just did a poor job of explaining it at the beginning.
They did a poor job of explaining a lot of stuff at the beginning.
Yeah, yes.
Which I think was the idea.
Yeah.
But they also didn't circle back to it.
True. I get that. But and this is where I'm like, I think Christopher Nolan was maybe just challenging himself, because time travel movies never work out. Like, it's really hard to make a time travel movie. Now, the reason I really liked this movie is because it actually took everything good from Quantum Break, that really niche Xbox One game that came out, where they filmed those 5 live-action episodes, and then each episode of the live-action show, in between each episode, was a level of the video game. So they, like, mixed them, and it was the main character, it was Iceman from the X-Men movies was the main character, and Littlefinger from Game of Thrones was the main bad guy. And it was, like, this really cool time travel story. And it was, like, it took every good element from that and, like, added it into this, the idea of, like, reversing time and, like, 2 dimensions going in 2 separate directions in the same space. I think that's where this movie was really cool. The action scenes were sick. The final fight was really cool. I really liked the last set piece. This last set piece was really well done. And I liked the switching. Once you saw the time travel machine, though, I liked the effect of, like, watching both happen at the same time. Like, I don't know.
Don't like how they didn't explain that either.
But that was the whole time travel thing. Like, that was the real thing. So
Yeah,
did the wall... But did the wall come from one side? Is there another wall?
Yeah, but then you can also apparently put tarp around, and then it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a... Yeah. It's a problem.
Maybe. I don't know. The tarp thing made sense to me. It was like, examine, like...
Just put one on a boat?
The tarp?
Yeah, where you like basically like, you know, build yourself your own safe room, just wherever you need.
Yeah, it was like it was like an extermination room, or like if they're making crack cocaine or like meth.
Yeah, those blow up all the time.
Yeah, but the whole like thing with that was with like the environment and how it affected their bodies. So for how it affected their bodies, like it like for the most, it's not like they went into the past and their skin exploded.
Inversion like oxygen tanks, just pumping in air.
But wouldn't it have to be taking it out?
No, it's just a different oxygen. It's just two different
Unless
oxygen.
it was hot and cold, then you would have a difference in it. But for the most part, oxygen will just stay around unless, like, you know, there is a difference in, like, pressure.
Maybe they just added the whole oxygen thing as, like, a subconscious thing to say, wear your mask.
Yeah. Possibly.
Maybe it's a soul.
Was this movie made before that, though?
I know, yeah, no, it was. That was more of a joke. But, just the first time they put on the masks, I was like, hey, what?
It's us, but them.
There were, but the one thing I really liked is that there were some things that you were saying where, like, things happen in the movie, and when they, like, happen again, you're like, oh, like, that was really cool. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, I get it. Because when the first time you see it, you're like, what the fuck is going on? And then it comes back and you're like, oh, that's what happened. That makes sense. What the fuck is going on?
The first big one in, like, the artsy, like, airport hangar, I kind of got a hint what was going on when he first was like, oh.
Oh, that one made sense. Like, I think the airport... That one was like
almost made sense immediately.
Yeah, that one, like...
I caught on to it right away. Like, I'm glad we all shared that moment.
Like, the big thing happened where he was just like, whoop, and I was like, oh.
Yeah,
I understand exactly what's going on.
I get what's going on, yes.
Or, like, what they're trying to portray, at least.
Uh-huh,
yeah.
100%.
Like, granted, it almost doesn't make sense still.
Yeah.
No, I thought it completed the loop. You have to think of Looper.
No.
Think of Looper a little bit, where they're like not the M face the movie, but the main character's timeline.
Yeah.
That's a loop.
But with the loop, I'm thinking of the door.
Yes.
The door was already broken before the thing had exploded in real time.
Yes, because he broke it.
Yeah, but he had already done that to break the door. So when they hint at it the first time, so it's like, all right, door is broken. He then, before the thing explodes, causing him to break the door, even in reverse time.
No, he didn't break the door in the reverse time. He got sucked through the other way.
No. Okay, I guess in the reverse time, he got sucked through the other way.
Yes.
And then it was
because he broke through the door as a different version earlier. But that was the earlier thing.
Oh, yeah, no, but it was later, and then it became earlier.
Yes.
Because it already happened.
Correct.
And then it happened.
So when he went inversion, the two that ran through the gates wasn't the ones that originally broke the door.
We're going to have to go to more of this in spoilers, because I have more things I got to talk about.
You can talk about now, it wouldn't be a spoiler, because it makes no fucking sense.
No, because it has to do with the ending.
No, it doesn't fucking matter.
All right, cool. So
it has to do with the very ending.
All right, so I'm gonna give this movie my score, and then we'll go into spoilers. I give this movie a 4. All right.
5. Okay, this is eventually this whole thing's between me and Von yelling at each other about where it goes on the list.
Yep, that's exactly what this is. All right. You might have to stay tuned after the spoilers to hear when we put this on the list, but let's just see what we might say for now. Keegan, was this better than Gretel vs. and Hansel? Or, sorry, a vote. Does it belong on the board? I say yes.
Yeah. No.
Okay, well, you lost that vote. Was it better than Gretel and Hansel?
Yes.
Still no.
Yes. Okay, no.
My vote's gonna be no.
Was it better than Bad Boys 3?
No.
Really?
No.
Really? I fucking hate how much you love Bad Boys 3. I might punch you in the dick for that one.
Bad Boys 3 is an all-around better movie.
Wow, I'm surprised that you liked Underwater more than Tenet. Thank you for officially saying that.
That's fine. Underwater's a better movie.
Wow, that's almost even worse now. talks about how much he does not like
I
underwater.
know. I'm all right. Okay, so Tenet,
Underwater is getting my hate for the memes.
that's right.
I just don't
Tenet,
like.
all right, so Tenet kicked out Gretel and Hansel. Sorry, Gretel and Hansel.
That's
You were
unfortunate.
a really good horror art movie, though. We really liked
Yeah, it was a really pretty movie to watch.
It was very pretty. All right. Cool. So we're gonna start our spoilers.
Spoilers in 3, 2, 1.
Okay, they
Jiaojin
fucking
is a
killed the
man!
antagonist at the
A
end of the
woman.
movie, which was the beginning of the movie. So if what happens, he's dead for the whole movie and nothing else happens.
Yes, because he was always gonna fail. Because remember, everything that happens. Yes.
So then he couldn't have been around for the rest of it, because he was already dead. Because they went back and they didn't kill the inverted point. They killed him in real
But
time.
he was already inverted though, because all of that stuff that happens with him in there was the inversion of it.
No, but he doesn't like re-invert and go back and do all the same things.
But that's why it's a loop. It's not a line. It's
But there's
looping back. So when he's here, he's also here.
Also, the double rocket scene was fucking
that was cool.
dope.
Double rocket was really cool.
Where they exploded the building and de-exploded the building and
And
exploded the
exploded
top
the
building
building.
and it just dropped.
Yes.
I think that was the final scene was really, really well done.
Yes, it
That
really
was great, and everything in it made sense, except for the dude dying.
I think they had so much going on
So
in
did
that last
did
scene
Neil
that they
get
had
shot
to
in the
struggle.
face at the end?
Yes.
He died.
He dies.
Okay.
Yeah.
That version of him dies.
That version of him dies. We just don't know when it happens, I guess.
Yes.
Does that make any sense either?
There's multiple...
Because he walked away.
Every time you walk through the gate, it creates a new version of you.
Yeah, but now we don't know how he gets back into the tunnel without either running into the main character or running into his past self again.
Correct.
Well, he could go to the past and he knows where it's at then.
Yeah.
If you knew where it was at then.
Yeah.
Or you just.
But that's why I think that was maybe one of the first versions of him.
That dies? Or that is still going on?
No, the first version that's still going on. One of his first inversions, because he always knew that was going to happen. Because that was the ending. The ending of the movie was the beginning of the movie. For Neil, for his character, all of that already happened. That mission happened after he was already recruited by the main character.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we looked at the movie very micro. It was very macro. The beginning of the movie was the ending of the movie. The movie was inverted. That's why it's so confusing.
Because so we do need to watch it backwards.
Yes, because the beginning of the movie is actually the real, the realness of the movie. Because the ending of the movie, the beginning of the movie is the original heist that they did because of what happened in the end of the movie.
Okay.
Because they had to destroy... Right, they had to destroy the code thing,
and then they had to go disperse it all.
And they had to just go disperse it all, and then they got caught dispersing it, and that's why they were like, your cover's blown at the very beginning, because that was the mission to disperse it. Neil was already trying to disperse it, and that's why he had it.
So that was one of his that he had lost.
Yes.
Okay, and then I guess everyone's working under the main dude.
Correct. Who at that time in the movie that we saw was him learning that he was actually the real one.
Yeah.
So that's why our time in the story.
Okay. See, even that is why this movie's bullshit.
I thought why this movie's good because it makes you think.
No, you don't need to think for 3 days after you see a movie whether or not you understand what the fuck happened.
Oh, then don't watch Vivarium.
Okay. I like thought-provoking movies that make sense for the information.
What about Inception?
Inception's a great movie.
But I understood Inception when it first came out too, just like this movie. But no one else did. Everyone's like, Inception's too confusing.
No, Inception explained every rule that it had for each step that they went and lived within that rule for the whole time. This one was like, we're not going to explain shit for half the movie, and then we're going to kind of explain it. And then at the very end, we expect you to figure it all out.
Because we gotta go back and watch it backwards.
Yeah, because we want you to watch this movie 17 times so you can understand that Robert Pattinson's still gonna be Batman and beat the fuck out of people, and it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great. That's gonna be great.
I'm gone, dude. I'm so fucking. I'm in my own fucking world. I'm over here just still fucking being sour about the personal history of fucking David Copperfield and how shit it is and how it doesn't even deserve to fucking be like mentioned. Just like, and then I'm like, oh well, what's better than that? And I'm like, I don't know,
So,
but even
well,
just very
no,
just Cutthroat City is better than that fucking shit.
Okay, but I wanna. What parts of Tenet did you understand?
There was a guy that was like shooting people, like shit like that, and then we're like, oh, we gotta go steal this art thing because my new girlfriend's like gonna get killed if it's still around.
Okay, I will agree.
Matter.
I didn't like how much he cared about her.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That was weird.
That also, yeah, that makes sense for his character.
I think that was the biggest flaw.
And I think also the casting in that bothered me too much. Not because they did bad, just because I couldn't ignore the fact she was like 7 feet tall. They kept fucking me up. Because then the other dude, the like main bodyguard, was also a fucking giraffe. And I was like, why are you surrounding yourself with fucking like Amazon people?
They're Amazonians. They're getting ready for Wonder Woman 3.
Okay? I guess. Holy shit. This is a tall lady.
But going back to the plane crash.
Yes. Okay. Plane crash.
So I'm pretty sure the plane crash. Yes, because when he goes back, when he goes back for the final inversion into the plane crash, he breaks open that gate.
Yeah.
In his inversion self,
in
which
his
means
inversion
the
self,
broken door was already broken.
Blows into where he's there.
That was the mini loop, because remember at the very first time he gets sucked out.
Yeah.
Right.
How many fucking versions are in that first fucking scene?
Like 5. 3? I think there's 3.
Because the original one that we saw.
Yeah, there's OG.
Starting out.
Yeah, there's the 2 that loop.
And then another one that's going in, and then when they're coming out, they also see the one that's going in when they're coming out.
Correct. So no, there are 4 in that one.
Listen, I just made bullshit make sense.
Yeah. No, there is 4 in that one because I forgot that he fights himself in that one in the blue hallway. Because there's one that runs down the red hallway. There's the 2 that are fighting the blue hallway, and there's the one that's doing the heist around.
Oh,
that we see at the very end where he pulls him out. That's the one who broke the door.
It'd be a really cool video game.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing. It could have been a really good video game.
Yeah.
But so that's why we were without spoiling it, we weren't getting in the same spot.
Yeah,
like, that's the one who broke because he broke in through that door, which made it weak for him to get blown into and blown out of in the other ones.
I forgot about the heist one.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's where I was like, wait a minute.
Because that's the bigger loop I'm talking about. That's the loop that makes everything make sense for the storyline. I know the physics.
Quote unquote.
I know, but the some of the item physics of the inversion, yes, they do break a few of those rules. But I don't. But that rule wasn't.
Thing is bullshit.
The healing thing is weird. I don't get the healing thing.
The healing thing doesn't make any sense at all. Especially when he gets reverse injured.
Yes.
That should have been a longer lasting injury.
Yes.
For once he inverted himself, he wouldn't have been recovered from that at the time.
Correct.
And for some reason, the inverted world speeds up your healing by like a lot.
Mm-hmm. Well, but he also, when he got shot in the arm, it also inverted through. Oh yeah, he got stabbed with a lockpick. But then when it inverted, he got unstabbed.
Yeah, so he healed with that. But when he was like slowly getting injured to the point to where he was like max injured, and then he got stabbed. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, you don't just heal from that just because it didn't happen to you yet, because it already had happened.
But that you would heal from that.
Not in that like 2 minutes. No, he was not on the plane for that long.
I'd have to look to see when he gets stabbed, and I'd have to watch all of his stab. We need like string and loops and stuff.
Oh man.
And she gets shot in the non-inverted time.
No, she got shot in the inverted time.
She got shot in the inverted time, but she wasn't inverted.
Correct.
Because she got shot with the inverted bullet. Because that's where he's like, that would have been a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
And then they take her and they loop around and then they invert her. And now she's like, magic.
Mm-hmm.
Then they didn't explain it.
No. Well, that's because I don't think they looped the same version of her. Because they looped to one version to get healed, but then there's the other version.
Bye, guys. There's no more of this conversation that makes more sense to me. I'm utterly fucking lost.
Well, let's do the outros then.
Oh my god! Like this is just looping around.
Yeah, so it's the whole movie.
Mass chaos. There's no end to it.
Also, no, my only one thing. It's not time travel related. With the espionage thing, for fucking spies with top secret information that just talk about it for like they don't get shit
in front of like everyone, like I was like
announcing it to
like
the
on
world.
the bus when they were like, yeah, the world might explode. I was like, how did that one chick in the frame not be like, what? Like,
have you ridden public transport?
But that's fair. I do gotta say, I think that's a little bit of movie magic, and we've talked about that in a previous episode. The jump cutting, it's a story arc saying
it's a story setting style.
I get why they did that. It's so that you can do dialogue while you're doing travel, so it makes it look like that time.
I'm talking about when he's meeting in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And the waiters are there, and he's like, "So I hear you know about all of this illegal stuff." That we definitely are going to do more.
Well, they were in a gangster restaurant anyway.
I feel like that restaurant's like a pretty popular place that his wife had gone to all the time, and so like everyone knows, don't fuck with that person if you see some shit, because the kitchen cleared out when they went in there too.
No, originally with Alfred.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's still probably like a place where fucking people that know shit fucking go to.
Yeah, those servers are probably paid to not say what they hear.
Spies.
It's like a
for spies. They're real
like
bad.
John Wick. It's like John Wick in the.
That's my other problem with this fucking movie. Where they're like, you pass the test. Not that many people do. We may have a whole fucking army, but there's not that many people that pass the test.
I think that was a throwaway line that I do agree. That was a little weird that they even said that. I think it was maybe to pass the test to be like a leader, maybe like higher up in the organization, kind of more like Kingsman, right? I don't know.
Fuck this movie.
Okay, well, I don't know. I think it created a great conversation and a very polarizing report.
I think so, yeah. What we got out of this is we disagree on just a lot of movies.
Not a lot.
Alright, 2.
Maybe
Maybe
3.
3. Because I think Bad Boys 3 is better than you played this.
No, fuck you. Bad Boys 3 was... No.
Bad Boys 3 is good.
Well, you can find me on Twitter. Yeah, Woke Butter. Got a lot going on
Tweet
there.
about loops.
Yeah, and if you never get tired of listening to this, we also have another one that's even more just...
Are you plugging your podcast in my podcast?
I'm plugging the podcast. I haven't done it yet, so I feel like this is a fair game at this point.
You should... Then you better plug this podcast and that podcast.
We talk about it.
I was going to say, I think I've done it.
Okay, cool. Never mind. All right, we're good. I support your decision.
And it's called The Scuttlebutt with me and Ray, and it's just talk about anything and anything. So basically, it just trickles down.
Now. Like, yeah, it's becoming like a more regular member.
Freaking flyer.
Yeah.
A season pass holder. We'll call it that, hell in there, because Freaking Flyer is your thing. But yeah, you Woke Butter, Scuttlebutt are on SoundCloud, and that's it right now, because apparently it's a lot harder to go on Spotify than I thought so.
Where are we going to find you, Ray?
Here and Scuttlebutt. Around.
And I'm Von Bun. You can find me at Von Bun Triangle pretty much everywhere.
No, I redeleted it.
Oh, God.
Bye, guys!
Bye!
Make sure to tune in next episode.